In a small town called Chebarkul in Chelyabinsk Oblast in Russia, there was a boy who was considered to be a saint, and some people followed him in a cult-like manner. He knew future, he could heal. Oh, and did I mention that he was already dead? Well, this will be the story of the Saint Slavic, or as in Russian, Святой Slavik. I saw you really like the story of Nutby murders about the cult in Sweden. So I understood that you're like pretty much into those wild religion-related stories. And I was thinking quite a lot if I should actually tell you this story, because I bumped into it quite recently while I was watching some Russian YouTuber. And then I was like, what the heck, let's go with it. Because this is ridiculous, this is crazy, and I think you will like it. So here I am with another story about a cult. This time it's gonna come from Russia, so it's a little bit like unusual for my channel, although I had some like true crime stories from Russia too. So anyways, let's just jump into it straight away. Oh my god, it's like you won't believe how gullible people are when they are fed with some lies related to religion. Okay, let's start. Vyacheslav Krishaninikov was born in the year 1982 and he died in year 1993, so quite a short life. After his death, people started to believe that he is a saint, and they called him the Russian angel or Saint Slavik Chebakulsky. So after his death, his graveyard became like a sacred place. People believe that the grave and the things surrounding the grave have some magical powers or even healing powers. As you can already understand, there's a lot to cover in today's story. The life of little Slavic actually seems pretty normal. He was born into like average Russian family. His mother's name was Valentina and his father, I couldn't find his name, but what I know is that he was a military. From what is known about his childhood is that he didn't attend kindergarten, so pretty much he spent a lot of time together with his mother, and afterwards he went to school at the age of 7. It was said that he skipped school quite a lot because of his illness. You see, he had a very serious illness. He had leukosis. In general, teachers, his fellow students, and also neighbors didn't notice anything special about this little boy while he was still alive. They characterized him as a nice and really pleasant boy, just like any other normal average boy at that age. The only thing that differed him from the others was, as I mentioned, this illness, because of which he was spending quite a lot of time at home and not attending school and not going out pretty much. Unfortunately, Slavic couldn't beat or live along with his serious illness, and he died at the tender age of 10. 8 years pass and some serious things start to spread about Slavic. Namely, there is a book that was written in cooperation with his mother, Valentina. And this book reveals a lot of things about this little boy, Slavic. In this book, it was said that her now dead son actually was a saint, and he had some amazing abilities and he could predict the future, including the end of the world. And all of the people living like neighbors or friends, they were not even like realizing that they were living together with a saint. So the book was written according to what Valentina said and what she was describing, what she remembered from the time when Slavic was still alive. And many miraculous things started to surface. For example, she was telling that after Slavic was born, he was put in her hands not by a nurse, but by an angel that was surrounded by a bright light. That was kind of like the first moment when she understood that her son is actually something pretty special. So just a side note, there were more than just one book, but we will get to that a little bit later. So stay with me here. Anyways, I'm just trying to sum up the things that were in the books, what, according to Valentina, actually happened during Slavic's childhood. So she was also telling, like, when she sent Slavic for the first time at the hairdressers, he was asking to the hairdresser to make a haircut exactly like Jesus. Valentina stated that Slavic can also read minds of people. He was very specific, and he had told his mother that he can read the minds even of the presidents of Russia and America. And he said that he knows where and how many nuclear weapons each of the countries actually have. According to Valentina, when Slavik was 8, she took him to Troica Sergei Lavru, or the Holy Trinity Saint Sergius Lavra, which is the most important Russian monastery belonging to the Russian Orthodox Church. There, Slavik was immediately recognized as being saint, and after that, people started to treat him like that, and pilgrims came to Chebarkul to be part of this wonder on the earth. Well, just a side note, this is according to the mother's words. You must be wondering, what did this Slavik predict? Well, let me tell you. His predictions are pretty much full of esoteric conspiracies. He was talking also a lot about Antichrist coming on the earth and tagging all of the people, for example. Slavik also said that all of the taxes and all of the passports of the citizens of the world are actually related to the devil. He also said that the people who are working in tax offices are actually Freemasons, and that after a while, there's going to be like one united passport for all citizens of the world, and it's going to look like a little gray plastic piece. And when people are going to receive this plastic piece, aka passport, they're also going to receive a tattoo or a tag, either on their forehead or on their wrist. It will be like a thing that you can scan. So they're gonna just scan you and they'll know who are you. And this tag will also, according to Slavik, include the numbers 666. You know where's this going. Slavik also predicted that there's gonna be like one world currency. Those who are into conspiracy theories or one world governments already know this theory, but Slavik didn't really nail this topic because he said that this currency is going to be euro. We all know it's not gonna happen. And I think this is a little bit related to the time when Slavik and his mom lived. That was the time when euro was actually introduced in Europe. So I guess he took the inspiration for this prediction from that event. I don't know, but like he literally didn't nail this one. Slavik also warned people not to go out in the space. And his reasoning was that when these astronauts and like machines come back from outer space to the Earth, they also bring to the Earth not bacteria or some viruses, but crystals that are made from an ice that doesn't melt. And these crystals, they can kill a person. It seems like Slavik actually knew everything. He even touched upon the topic that's very popular right now, namely UFOs. So he said that UFOs live on the moon and that they are not aliens, but they're actually demons. And these demons are cooperating with the major politicians on the earth. And these politicians have to pay these demons, or aka aliens, some kind of like share or tax or part of their profit. And they have to do it with diamonds. And you know why? Because diamonds, that's a thing that these demons, or aka aliens, are using as fuel for their vehicles. Did you know that? I didn't. Slavik maintained the old-fashioned idea of hell being under the ground, somewhere there. But there is another thing. Wait for it. There is not only hell down there underground, there's also dinosaurs. What's up with those dinosaurs? Well, let me tell you. Slavik said that there's actually a lot of space underground that we are not even aware of. And this large space has some clean waters, luscious plants, and this is where the dinosaurs are. They didn't die. They just went underground. Slavik then continued telling that these dinos are gathering their strength down there under the earth, laying eggs, becoming larger and larger. And for example, if we feel like an earth shake or earthquake, that's because the dinosaurs are moving down there. So you know, okay. And one day, all of those guys, those dinos, are going to appear again on the surface of the earth just to prove to the people that they haven't died, that they are still alive, pretty much. Slavik's mother, Valentina, actually asked her son, why would this be happening, all of this story with the dinosaurs? Slavik replied that this is because God wanted to send a message to the people not to be too smart about the things that they actually don't understand. So by sending up on the surface of the earth dinos again, he wanted to like show that, yes, you were saying that dinosaurs died. In your face, they didn't. You don't understand the shit on this earth. Now, this is not it. In relation to the underground. As I said, he also said that there's hell there down. And all of the demons, including the devil himself, one day will appear on the surface of the earth too. Not sure at this point where the dinos are going to be, but anyways, when this will happen, then there's gonna be like less demons left underground, and it's not gonna be so harsh to those people who ended up there in hell. I don't know why it was so important to tell, but yeah, those guys, I guess, will be less tortured. And believe me, dinosaurs underground is just the beginning. So Valentina also told the story about how Slavik, when he started to go to school, came home being very disappointed about the things that the teachers are telling him there. For example, he was very disappointed about his geography lessons where they said that the earth is round. Because Slavik knew that the earth is actually flat. Yep, all the flat earthers can pop a champagne now. Slavik said it. Okay, but there is more. Are you ready? Right. So, as we already established, according to Slavik, Earth is flat. So, and this flat Earth is holding on three very steady stalactites. And these stalactites, in turn, are like based on a very steady material, and this material is water, but it's not like the kind of water that we have here on Earth. It's very dense so that it can hold these three stalactites and the flat Earth. Okay, now you have the image. This is how it actually is, according to Slavik. According to Valentina, her son also could speak a lot of languages. For example, she recalled a story where Slavik accidentally fell from a tree, and afterwards something kind of opened in his mind and he started to speak some strange languages. And when she asked, "My dear, what kind of languages are you speaking there?" he said that you wouldn't understand, Mom. This is out of this world. I speak the languages of animals and plants. Sounds like a concussion or I don't know. But okay, yeah, he speaks languages we don't understand. You must be wondering how Valentina still remembers all of these stories like in such a precise detail. Well, according to her, she was keeping a notebook where she wrote down everything that Slavik said. But when she was asked to show this notebook, she said that, "Oh my, it disappeared somewhere. I lost it, I guess. I cannot find it." How convenient. But don't you worry. Valentina has a very good memory, and she says that she remembers everything in her head. In every little detail, that's all in her head. She has a very good memory. I don't even remember what I was eating for breakfast yesterday, but she remembers everything. As I mentioned at the beginning, there were a couple of books, not couple, actually quite many books written about Slavik and his miracles. But the first one that created like the first wave of his fame was called Oh Mama MinGa, meaning in English, Oh Mom Mummy. So I guess it was intended to be like a book where the mother Valentina tells the story about this miraculous son and the things that he could do and like try to prove that he's a saint. This book was actually written by a man named Gennady Bystrov, and the name of Valentina, the mother, was not even mentioned as like in the section where the author is. And I guess Valentina got angry about that because afterwards she said that all of the things that are written in this book, they're a lie, and that she has not been cooperating with this Gennady Bystrov. So Valentina here said that she had not talked to this Bystrov guy and she had not shared anything with him. And she was quite angry about this book and very dissatisfied about how it turned out. And according to Valentina, the story was as follows. She had told about Slavic's wonders to one of her Orthodox church friends, and this friend had written down all of these things that she said in a notebook and brought this notebook to Trojica Sergeju Lavru, and there it was picked up by this Mr. Gennady Bystrov, who afterwards wrote this book and was not even connecting or cooperating with Valentina, which made her very angry. The author himself had another story to tell. He said that he was very impressed about this notebook with all the details about Slavic, and he felt like in his heart that Slavic is indeed an important and very magical boy, and that this story should be told to the people. So he went down to Valentina and asked the permission to write this book. She allowed to do that. So this author, he finds some sponsors, releases the book, and at the end Valentina says no, I didn't give you the permission. All of the things are false there. Not satisfied. It would not be so suspicious if this would not repeat. For example, the following book was released by one woman who was the wife of a priest who had a private pressing company for religious books. And once this book was released, Valentina was again dissatisfied. And I think that was because her name was not again mentioned in the section where the author is mentioned. So I guess she was just simply dissatisfied that she does not really get a share of the profit from these books. That's my interpretation. After that, I don't know why, Valentina started to press her own books about her son Slavic and his miracles. And this is where we literally learn about all of the specific details in relation to Saint Slavic, many of whom I have already mentioned couple of minutes before. And this all includes the story how she went to the most influential Russian Orthodox monastery where he was called the saint, how he was given to her by an angel, etc., etc. You already know. But in truth, there is no real documented proof of Valentina and Slavic visiting this monastery, of anyone calling him a saint. There is no real proof that he has healed somebody. Nothing. And all in all, it starts to look like this is a story of a mother who couldn't really manage her grief of her son passing. And this is why she invented these stories and just went too far with it. But I must admit that Slavic actually predicted a couple of things correctly. For example, he predicted that 2 buildings are going to be destroyed in the US, and also he predicted that President Yeltsin afterwards is going to be substituted with very mysterious man. Yeah, however, these facts had already happened after these books were released. It would be like me saying today that yesterday I predicted that my husband is going to wear a white shirt yesterday evening. It's easy to write about things that had already happened. The little boy's popularity also was kind of increased by one of the Russia's TV channels. There's a channel called REN TV. And that's a channel that's popular with stories with a lot of conspiracies, UFOs, mysterious things, but not the ones you normal people would believe in. If you're very gullible, you would believe, that kind of channel. So they created TV series dedicated to Saint Slavic, and they added some more BS to already existing one. For example, there was a part where it said that Slavic was in contact with the most influential generals from the most influential armies of the world, and he had talked to them and warned about the upcoming dangers. And afterwards, he also managed to somehow heal the soldiers of those armies. It's just the question is, how did he do that? When did he squeeze that part? Within his 10 years of life? Was he doing that from the other world? This brings us to another trait of Slavic. He could actually heal from the other world, according to his mother. So this brings us again to the graveyard where Slavic is resting in peace. So the family, mother and father, they have created a worship place out of that. They created a fence or a construction, a little church thing. I don't know how to call it. So all the cult followers can come there and pray to Slavic, sing songs. And also Mother Valentina announced that the ground that is on top of Slavic, like where he's buried, has some healing powers and magical powers. And around the grave, there's like an area with little marble stones. And she said that those stones also have healing powers. Every day, Father would come and like just add more of those stones so that they can sell it to the cult followers, and they would literally carry them out in bags, bring home and believe that they will help to, let's say, heal their illnesses or broken legs or whatever. Some would even like put them into water and drink the water bit by bit because they believed it will heal them. This is how serious it was. But of course, as I said, there is no real documented evidence that these stones actually healed someone. It's just what is said, what they are advertising. And also on the way to this little worship place to Saint Slavic, there are little, let's say, tables with little trinkets that you can buy, like CDs or little books of what Slavic had said. So basically, it's like a business also. By the year 2007, the Slavic cult had reached its peak. There were CDs, there were books, there were cassettes, like people were buzzing about it. And at one point, the rumor about Saint Slavic reached the Russian Orthodox Church. And so they created a special commission to investigate this phenomena and understand what it really is and why people are so crazy about this Saint Slavic. The commission from Russian Orthodox Church announced that all of this so-called movement created for Slavic is not even near something saint, but more like a mixture of superstitious and cosmic fantasy, using Orthodox religion as their basis. Due to the increasing incidence of pilgrimages of clergy and laity of many dioceses of our church to the city of Chebarkul to venerate the so-called youngster Vyacheslav of Chebarkul, by this report we remind everyone that the person is neither canonized by the Russian Orthodox Church nor locally recognized. The cult of the young man Vyacheslav is self-invented, contains elements of ordinary superstition, blasphemous attacks on the church's teaching, and is permitted by a group of anti-church-minded individuals. Despite all of this, despite this conclusion from official Russian Orthodox Church Commission, Valentina was determined to get her son canonized. So she reached out to the highest representatives of Russian Orthodox Church. And this craziness went so far that even the Patriarch Alexei II had to intervene, and he said to Valentina, "We do understand the grief of a mother who has lost quite a young son. However, we note with bitterness that the next steps were intended to arouse public interest in the deceased child, and the creation of the cult of veneration as a saint does not correspond to church doctrine and church practice of canonization and veneration of the saints. The young man is not in need of religious veneration, and they had no grounds of declaring him a saint, but above all the needs, the fervent prayers of his." What is strange about Slavic's cult is also that there are quite many similarities with Jehovah's Witnesses. For example, Slavic's cult doesn't believe in blood transplantation. And Valentina said that Slavic once told her that this is a sin and you shouldn't do that, because when you transplant blood from another person, this blood is already dead, and you also transplant all of the sins of that person who is giving you the blood. So this is a no-no for Slavic's cult. And remember, Slavic had leukosis, so maybe blood transplantation would help him to gain longer life. We don't know, but Valentina didn't want to do that, obviously. That being said, many of the cult followers actually were against having any official government documents. I already mentioned passports. That's a no-no for them. They were against any kind of medicine, any kind of medical intervention, or even doctors. The only thing that was acceptable and how you could heal was through your prayers to Saint Slavic. Yeah. And also many of the cult members were like inviting people to go somewhere out of the cities in a remote places so that they are not disturbed by the Antichrist city people. So living there without passports, relying on prayers, etc., etc. An interesting thing is that by the end of the year 2010, some kind of like a shady Russian church opened. They were not even registered and officially, let's say, approved by the Russian Orthodox Church. But anyways, the main priest of this shady church, he accepted Slavic as a saint and he canonized him. And Valentina, of course, was very happy that finally there is some kind of church who admits that her son is a saint. But the fact is that this church didn't even last for long. They closed pretty quickly, which just shows that it was pretty shady and probably not even related to religion at all. But anyways, Valentina had like a peace in her heart that at least somebody canonized her son. In the year 2013, Slavic's father died and Valentina was pretty much alone now, without her son, without her husband. And this is when a downfall of the cult starts. For example, the doors of this little worship place around Slavic's grave was not open as often as before. Before that, it was open almost every day, but now there was a sign where Valentina had written down a message to all the brothers and sisters of the cult. There she explained that she is old, she is ill, she's alone, she doesn't have a car, therefore she cannot manage to do everything on her own, and the doors of the worship place are not going to be open as often as usually. Yeah, I guess the prayers to her son do not really help in some situations. In the year 2010, the Publications Board of the Russian Orthodox Church forbade the distribution through the church network of the book Mama MinGa, and God speaks to his elected representatives, Бог говорит избранникам своим. And this decision was made because these books are clearly popularizing Slavic as a saint. After that, Valentina pretty much disappeared from the media, from the sight of people. It was said that she had moved out somewhere in a deep countryside, away from the people. She was very sick, but yet she refused to receive the help of any kind of doctors. Nevertheless, the cult of Saint Slavic still continues to live in Russia. There are still followers of this cult, and you can see that in different internet discussion groups, more particularly of Kontakte, which is like a Russian social media platform. There people still discuss the miracles of Slavic, discuss how he's helping them to heal from different diseases. They're discussing how good it is to live outside remotely from the Antichrist city people. They also discuss things like how dangerous having a passport is, and that the end of the world is soon, and probably also things like the dinosaurs are coming from the underground. Now, what do you think about this cult, and do you believe that this little boy was a prophet and had some special powers? Let me know in the comments. Also reminding to send me in your mysteries, true crime stories, UFO, or other interesting stories from where you live, what your family, yourself, or your friends have experienced, because I am planning to make a live video, and there I will discuss the stories that you will send in. So reach me on the email that you are now seeing on the screen, gitalighthouseYT@gmail.com. See you next time!